Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Natania Syafiqur Rahma. I am from IPL Department 2019. Today I will explain to you all about the Maqrizi's economic thought. Al-Mahrizi economic thought. Uh, in this in this presentation, I will give you all about the subject. The first is introduction, finding, and conclusion. He is Al-Maqrizi. His full name is Tahyah al-Din Abu al-Abbas Ahmad bin Ali bin Abdul al-Qadir bin Muhammad al-Maqrizi. Al-Maqrizi was born in Yatimya, Cairo, and he spent most of his life in Egypt. Definition. The definition of inflation is the process of increasing prices in general and continuously. In other words, inflation is also a process of decreasing the value of the money continuously. The increase in the price of one or two cannot be mentioned inflation unless the inflation extend or result in increases in good other. Inflation can be considered a monetary phenomenon due to decreasing in value unit of monetary calculation for a commodity. Meanwhile, modern economists defines it is the overall increases in the amount of money that must be paid or monetary unit value of goods or commodities. In general, inflation can lead to reduced investment in a country, encourage and increases in interest rate, encourage speculative investment, failure to implement development, economic instability, balance of payment deficit, and the decline in the level of life and welfare of the community. Yes, there is the definition of the inflation. Biography of Al-Maqrizi. Al-Maqrizi was born in Barjuan village, Cairo in 766 Hijriah. His family comes from the Maqariza, a village located in the city of Ba'laba. Hence, it is tend to be known as Al-Mahrizi. Al-Mahrizi was a very loving person. Science childhood, he was fond of doing scientific rihla. He studied various disciplines such as fiqh, hadith, and history from the Greek scholar who lived at his time. Among the various figures who greatly influenced his thinking was Ibn Khaldun, a great scholar and initiator of social science, including economy. The interaction with Ibn Khaldun starting when the Abu al-Ikris had settled in Cairo and took the position of Chief Justice of Qadi al-Huda of the Maliki school during the reign of the Sultan Barko. And the next is I will give you explanation about the inflation and the money. In essence, inflation is unavoidable. However, the effort that can be done is to minimize the inflation rate to low inflation. Al-Maqrizi has a concept measure regarding inflation, as previously mentioned, divided into two parts, namely the first is natural inflation and the second is inflation above human error. As the natural inflation, it is difficult to avoid by humans. According to Maqrizi, when a natural disaster occurs, various foodstuffs and other crops have lost, so that the inventory of the goods experience a very drastic human error, namely corruption and bad administration, excessive tax, and increases circulation of money. Therefore, inflation can be minimized through improving human error factor as a corruption and currency circulation. And the second is inflation in a Islamic economic perspective. In Islam, has linked gold and silver with a low standard and doesn't change. When Islam required diet, then what is used as a measure is the form of gold. And the second is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had set gold and silver as his money, and he made only gold and silver as standard of money. The third is when Allah Subhanahu wa Taala obligates zakat money. God has obligated the zakat with a limit of gold and silver. And the last is laws regarding the exchange of securities that occur in money transaction carried only with gold and service and silver. and silver, as well as other transactions that only stated by gold and silver. The decline in the value of the dinar and dirham is still possible, namely when the gold value that support the nominal value of the dinar experiences slight among them due to the discovery of the gold and quantity is big, but the circumstance is very unlike. Era Rasulullah Shallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had experienced a deficit, and this was only when this happened before the human world. However, Al-Maqrizi divides inflation into two types, namely inflation due to the reduced inventory and inflation due to the human error. I think yes. Next, I will explain to you all about the Al-Maqrizi inflation concept. Egypt at the time was due to administration in efficient governance and the conduct of extraordinary crimes or corruption, like in Indonesia maybe. The practice of pre-barry commercialization of position, collusion, nepotism, and the sometimes enforced repressive tax by unaccountable government the people, so there is detrimental to the incentives of farmers to work and eventually led to a significant decline in agriculture over production as a dominant sector of life at that time. If we correlate it with Indonesia as a country agricultural, rich in natural resources, hence the concept of al-Makhrizi including right to be implemented in welfare society through reforming the government administration, clean from extraordinary crimes as the for all Maghribi Al-Makhrizi divides Egyptian society into seven social strata groups aims to identify groups with the poor and beggars. After dividing into several groups, Al-Makhrizi emphasized the intensity, the pain and suffering he went through as a result of hyperinflation. And next, Al-Maqrizi talk about the money. This is the subject of the money. The first is implication of bad currency creation. Uh, the definition is Maqrizi state that the creation of a currency of poor quality would be obliterate good quality currency. It was currently seen when the elaborate monetary situation during the reign of Sultan Saladin al-Ayyubi. In this case, the currency that is printed is a very low quality compared to currency that is already in circulation. In fixing this reality, social would prefer to keep good quality currency and melt it into jewelry and releasing poor quality currency into circulation. As a result, the old currency will return to circulation. The second is the purchasing power concept of money. It means, according to all Maqrizi, currency printing must be accompanied by greater attention from the government to the currency in subsequent business. Neglect of this, resulting in an unbalanced increasing in the printed of money with production activities can lead to the real purchasing power of money decreases. The next is a factor causing inflation. The factor is natural inflation. It means when a natural disaster occurs, various goods, stuff, and other crops have experienced crop failure, so that the supply of these goods has decreased dramatically, and there has been scarcity. In other parties, due to their significant nature in life, the demand for various the item has increases. Prices soared, foreign excess people's purchasing power. This has implications for rising prices for various goods and other services. As a result, economic transactions have stalled and have even stopped at the some time once, which ultimately lead to famine, pleasure, and death among the public. Furthermore, he stated that even though a disaster has passed, the price increases will still continue and still continue. B is inflation due to the human error. Apart from natural factors, the Maqrizi stated the inflation can occur due to errors human. He was identified three things that cause the second type of the inflation. There are corruption and bad administration, excessive and increasing tax currency circulation of money. The corruption and bad administration, it means Al-Makrizi state of the appointment of government officials based on rebates and not capability will put people who don't have credibility in important and respectable position, but among the legislature, the judiciary, as well as the executive. They are willing to mortgage all their property as compensation to achieve the desired position and daily needs of official. And then excessive tax, frequency of various tax for the maintenance and works, the sometimes is increasing. The consequence is the cost of cultivating the land, sowing the seeds, harvesting yields, and so on, are increasing. In other words, rice harvest produced in this condition required up to higher costs by the rich of the farmers. And the last is increasing currency circulation. As mentioned above, in the beginning, money had a value intrinsic is much smaller than its face value printed as a toll transaction to meet the various necessities or in the circulation of money. When there is a budget deficit as a result of bad behavior from officials who spend said money for various personal and group interests, finally the government did a large-scale cash printing. According to Maqrizi, these activities were increasingly widespread of the time the government's ambition to benefit greatly from unnecessary currency printed high production costs, so that is getting out of the control. As rules, they are issued an edict forcing the public to use the currency. The amount of money owned by the community is getting bigger and the circulation is experiencing a very sharp increase, so that money becomes the dominant currency. And the last explanation is conclusion. After conscious observation and investigation in more depth about this problem, there are several conclusions can be drawn, namely broaden economic thinking of Al-Maqrizi about inflation is more comprehensive than the concept offered by economic base. One of the reason is due to good inflation, which is caused by natural as well as man-made inflation. Both can take the form of the cost push or demand pull inflation. Al-Maqdisi turned out to be observant and understanding first, especially monetary-related matters. Yes, thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.